Rod, if you're free, I have an extra ticket to the Warriors and Oil Kings game in Moose Jaw tonight, if you want to join me. I would love to, but I can't. To quote Sammy Seafood Sam, I'm busy.
How about that?
Where's Seafood Sam? Moved to Calgary. He's busy.
Yeah.
But thank you, Glenn.
Muna.
Big shots.
Sitting up there with the Russian national coach at the press conference.
Guy ran a seafood restaurant in Saskatoon, okay? His name was Seafood Sam. That was the name of the restaurant, and the Saskatoon Blades would bring him down to coach the All-Star or the intra-squad game, and he'd start brawls. And
I remember hearing the story about Daryl Lubanicki. They told the guys, no more fights. And so all of a sudden there's a fight, and then they drop the puck, and then there's another fight, and there's another.
He's coaching the intra-squad
One
game.
kid had fought 3 times, so Daryl Lubanicki said, I'm going to put an end to this. And he walks around the rink, and he comes over to the kid who's had 3 fights, and he says, what in is going on around here? And the kid says, that Chinese guy keeps sending me out to beat out of that. So he had to go to this Seafood Sam, who was this little 5'2" Chinese fellow who owned the local restaurant.
Seafood Sam's.
And tell him to knock it off.
No more fights.
How about that? Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
And I'm like, you just got a life lesson, boys. There's always going to be somebody mean or somebody nasty or somebody big. There's always going to be. So you might as well learn it now. Thanks for picking on me and keeping me humble. I appreciate it, man. Enjoy the ball this weekend.
You look like you worked at Burger King in 1986 wearing that thing.
At least I had a job in 1986.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Oh, I'm so excited. I hope you will be, too, when you hear the news. We got a great day, a great show planned. Not so many people around me here in the office tower, so I can ring the bell. It's a big day. Former Toronto Maple Leafs captain Rick Vaive. Former Toronto Maple Leafs captain Rick Vaive will be our special guest in hour 2. Speaking of the Leafs, one of their huge fans, one of their millions of fans, Darren Dupont, is with us. He is back in the rectangle. Very exciting trip back to the homeland. Yeah, I'm in the Florida studio. Moose is back there. Good to see you, my friend. Tell the folks what brings you back to the rectangle, please, if you don't mind.
Yeah, good to be back. I didn't miss all this snow that they still have. I'll call this late March, but back in town this week. Thursday is the Regina Rams annual fundraising banquet. Going to unveil the recruits, and they brought me in to host it. So that's on Thursday. Looking forward to it.
That's a very big deal. Way to go, Moose. Glad that you're back there. He's hosting the U of R Rams fundraising banquet. That's great. So say hey to everybody for me. And I think we're ready to get down to business, really. Boys, I see Jordan's back in the chair. Do you want to hit the quick six show horn, Director Jordan, and we will get going?
Hell yes.
All right, please and thank you. Okay, so you know what we do here every day. It's episode number 1457, and we have a very big special thing that I'm going to unveil later on in the program today. Not right here specifically, but I'm going to throw a curveball at you. You all know that we do the quick six show topics. We do the items of the day as importance to me. And it being late March, as Darren said, we normally open with hockey, but we're not today. We're going to open with baseball. Number one, the MLB news of the day. Reigning NL MVP Shohei Ohtani hit a solo homer, and the LA Dodgers beat the Chicago Cubs 6-3 to sweep the 2-game series in Japan. Game 2 was this morning. Japanese free agent signing Roki Sasaki threw 3 eventful innings in his big league debut. So they're coming back across the pond with the Dodgers up 2-0. You pay the most, you win the World Series, you have the best players, you usually win. And the Cubs lose. This is a recording. Meanwhile, the Blue Jays have the day off in preseason play. We're starting with baseball, and listen, while I'm now working in baseball, I'm not a baseball guy yet. But Darren, I had to tell you this story. We had a great night last night. Clark, you have the photo, right? A lot of Expos fans will remember Curtis Pride. He had 2 stints with the Montreal Expos. He coaches the Wellington Wolverines high school team here in Wellington, Florida. And I know nobody's ever heard of Wellington, Florida, but it's a wealthy suburb. It's the neighboring community to West Palm Beach. As Brent from Wellington, Florida said last night, just tell everybody it's straight west of Mar-a-Lago, and they'll know where that is. You got the photo, Clark? With Curtis Pride, the former Expo. So he was we stopped first ever deaf player in Major League Baseball, and he played 16 years in the majors. His wife, Lisa, is a baseball announcer. There it is last night. We stopped for a photo. He just launched his book on the weekend. I could feel the cheers. Forward written by Cal Ripken Jr. We took that photo last night. And while he is deaf, there ain't no doubt about that. He could read lips and stuff. And, okay, thanks, Clark, for throwing that up. I knew he was going to read my lips, Darren, so I said, big Expos fan. And he got it, right? He's like, oh, I love Montreal. Maybe we'll go back there one day. And we sat there, and then I announced the game. Lisa scored it, his wife, and we talked. She loved Montreal. They met here in West Palm, and she used to go up to Montreal and back. She had the divine life of a baseball wife. And we told these great stories of Olympic Stadium. And Curtis Pride said to me, I would love to see Major League Baseball go back to Montreal one day. So before we get to the poll question, and spoiler alert, that's one, but I don't know what's going on in my life. I did not plan to be in baseball or working in baseball or cavorting with these baseball people, but I can tell you they're some of the greatest people in the world, Darren. They're different than the hockey people. They're different than football people. I'm sure they're different than horseshoes people. They're their own culture. But they're so welcoming, and I just love it so much. So, yeah, a night with Curtis Pride. Do you have Expos memories? You're probably too young.
Yeah, I'm too young. I don't really have any Expos memories. I mean, very, very little recollections of the team and all the rest, but no attachment like you would. But I love that city. So I don't want to jump the question here, but I would love to see baseball in Montreal. I'd like to see it.
Well, so, I got to stop. Other than I'll say Stacey Champagne is checking in from Access World Headquarters, says, slow clap for you, Moose, coming back to the motherland to MC that Rams dinner. So they're all excited to have you back home. But the one thing I will say this, back to just this serendipitous, these coincidences, it's exciting, but you don't know what's around every corner. So it's a little unnerving in a way, because Lisa talked about the owner, Jeffrey Lurie of the Expos, and you weren't real clear on why they left, right, and moved to the Washington Nationals. And I don't really either. It was 20 years ago. But this Jeffrey Lurie run the team into the ground, sold it, ended up buying the Marlins. Then he treated everybody here with the Marlins-like crap, including Joe Girardi, my gym buddy. And Lisa's like, oh, don't get Joe Girardi going on Jeff Lurie. I'm like, okay, I won't. Thanks for the warning. But I'm just like, what the hell is going on? So to point two, hey, it's exciting. But I'm like, white-knuckling this thing. What's next? Poll question for EMJ Marketing. They'll provide the perfect keynote speaker for your event. Look up their roster at emjmarketing.com and contact Joe there. Will Major League Baseball ever return to Montreal? Because for, I guess, anybody of a certain age, let's say 45 and over, you love the Expos. You love the uniforms. You love the players. Gary Carter, the Kid, Buck Rogers, Tim Wallach, Al Oliver. Those are the guys that I grew up watching. Andre Dawson, the Hawk. Yeah, Saturday, Sunday afternoons. If it wasn't on CBC English, it was on CBC French. We watched all the games. We had the gear. We had the batting helmets. And if not, the ball caps. Oh, we loved it. But Curtis Pride hopes they'd go back. Do we think that MLB will ever go back? I'm going to say no. I said to his wife, I think that they were after an NBA team. They already have the arena in the Bell Center. They'd have to build a stadium. And that's probably the biggest stumbling block. Pro franchises don't want to go to Quebec. The NHL clearly doesn't. Don't even get the NFL going on Canada. I would vote no, but our options are yes, no, and never say never. And just so you know, I looked it up, Darren, 71% are saying no. Never going back, and that's shed a tear worthy. But I'm voting never say never. How about you?
Yeah, I'll vote never say never because I don't like to say no, right? I like to always keep the door open and the conversation open. If you want it bad enough, you'll find a way to do it. If the city wants it and there's an ownership group that wants it, it could happen. I'll say never, but I'm not that optimistic.
No, and I have very few regrets in life, as you know. I say that all the time. But one is this. By the time I got into the CFL, which was 1999, i.e. traveling with the team and working with the team, I could never get anybody to go to an Expos game with me when we went to Montreal. There were times when the Expos were home and the Rough Riders were playing at the Alouettes, and I should have gone on my own, because a lot of times when I go places, I will go on my own if I can't find anybody. But to take a subway for a prairie dog like me, a gopher, a subway, I'd get lost. I'd end up in New York. So I never went. But I remember one night that Randy Johnson was the starting pitcher for the Expos, and I should have gone. And I never did watch the Expos play in that place at Olympic Stadium, and I regret it to this day. Thank God we did play the Alouettes in the 2005 Eastern semifinal. I got to broadcast a game in there. I've been to Grey Cups, but not an Expos game. It's not the same. Carlos in Indianapolis writes in and says, I have an Expos pencil sitting around somewhere. Well, ship it to us if you don't mind. John says, baseball in Montreal? Absolutely. John says he went to an Expo game in 1981 for $1. BW in Edmonton says the Expos should have moved. BW in Edmonton says Expos should have been moved to BC Place. See, and that's the thing. Brent from Wellington, Florida, who's probably watching right now, showed up for the last few innings because the high school is just down the street. And he actually lined me up with the Wellington Wolverines, so I appreciate Brent for doing that. And Brent said, as we were sitting in the press box, he goes, they should have put an MLB team in Vancouver. It does not make any sense that they never did. Scott in Vancouver's watching. He says, Curtis Pride, thumbs up. And one last thing before we move on to hockey. I'm learning, Darren. You know that. You're lucky. You're not making the same mistakes I am, or did. But I got a little heat last night. I got a little heat for being too positive about the visiting team because I was announcing the game. And the thing is, they had an AI announcer and walk-up music for all the home team, the Wolverines. So they're like, we don't need you to announce the at-bats for the home team, but can you announce it for the visiting team? Well, if that's the only team I'm going to announce, I'm going to put a little spank on it. And I did. And they were like, tone it down a little. They're the visitors, okay? And I'm like, what? What? But I discussed it with Clark, baseball guy, Joe, and you a little this morning. And I was like, yeah, maybe just be monotonous. I'm like, well, you could train a chimp to do that. But I guess I can be as
That's
good
what I'd want the AI voice for.
Right, the visiting team. Don't get me started on AI. That's a topic for another time. Okay, we're moving on. If you're ready, everybody please at will comment, baseball in Montreal, whatever you would like, baseball in Vancouver. And the Progressive Insurance text line is open, 902-518-3033. Switch to Progressive and you could save a bunch. And we're not going to talk about the games yet. We're going to, but there's a different wrinkle here in the Quick Six. The NHL GM meetings have wrapped up in Manalapan, Florida, which is not far from where I sit right now. And NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman told the media the league and the Players Association will sit down to begin negotiations on a new CBA the week of April 1st. Bettman said he did not expect either side to be pushing for fundamental changes and hopes to get a deal done quickly and quietly. NHLPA Executive Director Marty Walsh said last month he was going into talks with a positive attitude. The working relationship between the league and its union is at its highest point in recent history, with business booming and revenues setting records. Jeff Chikrin said it on our Panthers podcast last week, so it's on record. I haven't seen it reported anywhere else. Jeff said that the salary cap's going to go up $10 million a year each year for the next 3 years. That is unbelievable. That's from Chikrin. Nobody else has said that. But other things that I saw, there's going to be no rule changes, according to Elliot Friedman. I heard him on NHL radio this morning. There will be no playoff expansion. Gary Bettman is dead set against it. Other than that, largely all good news out of the NHL GM meetings. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I'm cool with no rule changes, really, and definitely no expanding the playoff. We heard the talk about overtime coming out of the Four Nations where they expanded to 10 minutes. That doesn't actually doesn't sound like that's a favorable thing, but maybe 7 minutes or 8 minutes could be palatable, but now it sounds like maybe not. And then potentially some junior hockey meetings happening as part of the GM meetings. So that's very interesting as well.
I saw that too. Where's that hum coming from? Did you leave your razor on in your travel bag? You didn't shave, clearly. Or is that on my end? It's a very small buzz. Do you hear it, Clark? Who, me? I might have bumped it. How's that? Is that any better? Oh, they say it's on my side. I don't know what it could possibly be. It wasn't there before the show. But anyways, regarding the Expos, viewer Scott says, I like that powder blue. Utah Darren writes that he says Expos uniforms were the best ever. Oh, they were. And Serena said the other day, she's like, we got to get you an Expos hat. And I'm like, well, I have one in Canada somewhere. I got to find it. I hope I did not pitch it. But hey, here's the other thing, though. You and Gary Bettman are both dead set against playoff expansion. I'd like to know why, and I'll tell you why. Because the Miami Heat are having largely a junk season here in the NBA, and I am not a diehard NBA fan by any means, but I'm following it enough that they've got a shot. Look at the Raptors. Last I heard, they were 4 games out of a play-in spot because it's the top 10 make it, right, in each conference. I would say the more teams in contention, the longer they could be, the better that it is. That 24-team playoff in the bubble was amazing and hella exciting. I don't understand why the league wouldn't. Why? What would be the reason to not expand the playoff teams?
The less you expand the playoff teams, the more importance clearly you have on the regular season, so it creates some importance. And it makes the playoffs more of an elite thing, more of an elite part of the season. And so, yeah, I understand from a business perspective, you'd think, I got a business mind, that you'd want more teams and more revenues, more fan bases involved in the league longer. I understand that. But I want to keep it as something special. You have to really earn the playoffs. And I think the Stanley Cup playoffs are one of the greatest traditions in sports. Let's not expand it. I don't want to see it get watered down.
Okay, fine. Okay. But I'm just saying, in a time when nobody honors the tradition, nobody cares about the past. I see it every day in sport. Now we care? I feel like this is the hill that Gary Bettman, it sounds like the way Elliot Friedman painted it out to be, this is the hill that Gary Bettman's prepared to die on. Nope. We're not adding playoff teams. So, fine. Maybe whoever the next commissioner is will, but Gary says that he isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Scott in Vancouver says, in the NBA East, you don't even need to be 500 to make the play-in. LOL. No, you don't. That's what I'm saying. The Heat have a junk season, and they're like 7th, maybe 8th, whatever the hell it is. It's kind of funny. So it's the opposite in the NBA. Seems to be working for them, I think, even though their ratings took a dump for the All-Star weekend, whereas the NHL's shot up. So I'm not criticizing, trust me, I'm not criticizing the NHL, and I don't really watch the NBA. If it's on, I'll watch. You know, it's funny because people have written in and said, you know, how do you feel about the NBA players and the load management and the stars missing games? And I'm like, then don't watch. It's pretty damn simple. Don't buy tickets, which you translated better by saying, if it hurts the owner's pocketbook, something will happen. It's not. So you keep watching, you keep buying tickets. Why would anything change? As we say in the recovery business, if nothing changes, nothing changes. There was a lot of NHL games last night to get to. March Madness. We'll be right back. We're halfway through the warm-up. We're live on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hour one is for Culligan Water. Drink clean, live green, filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit CulliganRegina.com. The Moose is there in the Queen City for the Regina Rams fundraising dinner, which is Thursday night. Then he'll be traveling back home to Toronto Friday. He won't be with us Friday. But Darren, since you're here, it's a very exciting day. We got a lot to get to. I feel like everybody's in a pretty good mood. I hope we're a part of that. Your column, your weekly column, Moose Droppings, is featured right now at rodpedersen.com. It's a top item running. It seemed to have a impact on you, that comment that old man said to me in LA Fitness the other day, where he said, have a good day and make sure you enjoy it. And the look on his face was, he really meant it. Don't waste it. Fretting, being mad, worrying. Make sure you enjoy the day. I didn't know that it had that big of impact on you. Would you mind relating that? It's in your column, and I really appreciated you putting that in there.
Yeah, well, Leanne and I were walking around that day, and actually on Monday, on St. Patrick's Day, and we were talking about this. And I said to her this story, and I said, it's such a small thing. Make sure you enjoy the day. We're all dealing with problems. And it got us thinking about two of our favorite people. They're older gentlemen that live here in Regina that we are very close with and spend a lot of time with. And I started thinking, do you remember ever having a bad conversation with these two where they were complaining or talking about negative things or whatever? And it's like, no, we really don't. And they've got negative things going on in their lives. They got negative people. The football team that they're a fan of sucks sometimes and all the rest. And those things do come up. But everything comes from a place of what are you up to? What's great in your life? What's going well? Hey, this fun thing happened. And it's just a mindset. We all have stress. We all have negative family members. We all have things that are bad, but it's just like, what is your mind focused on? And that one really stuck with me. So thank you.
Yeah, well, that old guy saying that helped me. Be sure to enjoy it, and I'm glad that we were able to pass it along. And listen, might as well say it now. We want to thank Chad Glasser for making this special commemorative bobblehead. We're not at episode number 1500 yet. We're actually at episode number 1457. But these are special commemorative bobbleheads, and I can tell you where you can order yours if you wish. But I'm not waiting till episode number 1500 because, for one, I'm going to be back in Moose Jaw this summer, and I'm not waiting. Why wait to get hit by a bus later today? This thing is legit. Okay, this ain't cheap. Even Serena said this morning, she's like, they're way better than the Panthers bobbleheads. I'm like, yeah, they actually are. This one of you, Darren, is a dead ringer. This one mildly looks like me,
good too,
but
yeah.
I'll take it.
And the shirt.
He did a hell of a job. Yeah, it's the shirt. It's from my friend's Whole Life. That's their design. The Whole Life clothing brand is incredibly excited about the fact that they're made it onto a bobblehead. And Game Plus Television's here on the bottom. So, Chad, thank you. And again, I don't want to wait. I didn't want to wait. I got this thing in the mail. When I got home from the ball game last night, it was on my doorstep. Thank God nobody stole it. And here we go. So, any thoughts on that before we get down to business with sports talk again?
I just think that's so cool. And it's a little thing. You could, not do it or do it, but, do the things. And like you say, don't wait. So cool, man. It's those little things that make everything great. Thank you.
Chad Glasser in Lethbridge. Thank you for doing that, man. And he did send me the link. If anybody would want to buy one, I don't know why you would, but I will post it if you want one. Okay, back on point, if there is a point. NHL from last night. Brock Besser and Pius Suter each scored twice. Quinn Hughes pitched in with two helpers, and the host Vancouver Canucks beat the NHL leading Winnipeg Jets 6-2 Tuesday. The Jets got goals from Nikolai Ehlers and Alex Iafallo as their three-game win streak came to an end. Zach Hyman had 2 goals and a helper. Connor McDavid, the Nuge, and Matthias Ekholm each had a goal and 2 assists. And the Oilers drilled the visiting Utah Hockey Club 7-1. Sean Durzi scored for Utah. The Oilers moved to within 2 points of the Pacific Division leading Vegas Golden Knights. Nick Suzuki's power play goal at 15:23 the third period snapped a 3-3 tie and lifted the Montreal Canadiens to a 6-3 comeback win over the visiting Ottawa Senators. And Nazem Kadri and Matt Coronado scored. Dan Vladar made 12 saves, and the visiting Calgary Flames knocked off the New York Rangers 2-1. Some highlights of last night's game. We didn't play breakaway bets, which made me not check the scores this morning. That's what betting does for you. We got to make our picks later today. And that reminds me, speaking of the NHL, former Leafs captain Rick Vaive will be with us coming up in hour 2. I can sum up all of last night's NHL action in a second. People need to chill out. I always get sucked into this every year, especially this time. This morning, they were getting all hot and lathered up about the Habs being in a playoff spot. Here's the orders. What did I say? 2 points behind the division-leading Vegas Golden Knights. I'm old enough to remember when an Edmonton media person said that if the Oilers were in the Central Division, they'd be in 3rd place. Oh, my God, they must suck. And then the sky's falling that the Jets lost to Vancouver. News flash, stick with me. I've seen it happen so many times that I believe this is fact. You lose those regular season games that don't really mean anything. You get pissed off. You go to work. You go to the drawing board to find out how to beat that team when it does matter in the playoffs. I've seen it in I've seen it in hockey. I've seen it in football. I'm sure I'll see it in baseball. So it's just I can't, man. It's like the roller coaster at New York, and Vegas. It's too much. It's too much. Why do I get sucked in every damn day? Because the standing's going to change tomorrow. That's what I think about the NHL right now.
It is. Standings are going to change tomorrow. You have to stay calm if you're a hockey fan, but I know that's a hard thing to do. And, everybody can pull a narrative. Oh, if the Oilers were this in the other division, they'd be in 3rd. Oh, they're awful. And that's going to happen come the playoffs, right? If Colorado and Dallas meet in the first round, one of those teams, both Stanley Cup contenders, both among the leaders in Stanley Cup odds, one of them is going to be out in the first round. Are you going to sit here and tell me Colorado sucks because they lost in the first round of the playoffs? No. They lost to a Stanley Cup favorite. or whichever side loses. So just don't get caught up in it. I know that's easier said than done, but chill. We got a long way to go.
Hey, it's part of what has made me very successful as a recovery coach. And when I say very successful, I don't mean financially with it. Having success helping people is I take on the energy. And when the energy is so neurotic and anxious, it drives me flipping nuts. So I got to just watch the games and stay out of the bunk. The problem is I can't help myself. I got to listen to NHL radio. I got to listen to Pro Football Talk. I gotta. It's all on me, I know. By the way, Mark in Melfort, where they do the Melfort Shuffle, he writes in and he says, you know you made it when you have a bobblehead of yourself. I'm going to be honest. I would agree. I've always kind of wanted a bobblehead. Didn't know how that would ever happen. Wasn't going to pay for one of my own. Not that big of a knob. So that means a lot, too. So Chad Glasser from Lethbridge made that commemorating our 1500 show. I should put it over my shoulder. I will in the break. BW in Edmonton says, I'll order one. Okay, we'll get the link. I'll send it to Clark, and he can put it in the YouTube chat. A lot of comments have come in on the Montreal Expos, which I love the announcers, too. I'm sure you did, too. You are one. Dave Van Horn, who was the Expos announcer when I was a kid, went on to be the voice of the Marlins. I think he was the very first voice of the Marlins. Dave Van Horn. Oh, was he a stud. They don't make him like that anymore. But on the Progressive Insurance text line, 902-518-3033, Rennie Gagnon from the Score, not the Score, from the Game Plus newsroom, flashback, Rennie. He says, my friends and I would drive 5 hours to Montreal and spend a weekend at the hotel next to the Big O. Every summer, sometimes twice in the same summer. Yeah, it's awesome. And I have to be honest, Jeff Hayes, who you know, he's the voice of the Saskatoon Blades. He wrote into my commentary this morning, and he goes, it's a part of our past. He goes, this game, this team. Vive Montreal. Vive Montreal. Les Expos. It's okay to visit the past. It's not okay to live there. Say it with me, Moose. Kirk in Toronto writes in, hi, Rod. Went to an Expos game in 1969 with my dad and my brother. Pre-Olympic Stadium. Rob writes in from the Queen City. He says, I loved the Expos growing up while everyone else was on the Blue Jays bandwagon. But once Pedro Martinez left for Boston, I did too, and became a Red Sox fan. Jeffrey Loria killed the team. Hope they come back someday. Watch Nos Amours, the Sega of Montreal Expos on Crave. Yeah, I got to watch that. I can't believe that I haven't. Brian in Hudson's Bay writes in. He says, I love the Expos. Still have a couple hats. Best name ever, Coco LeBoy, the original third baseman. I do believe. My friend Matt DeBuck, the most famous high school football coach in Florida, is from Montreal, oddly enough. Former CFLer. Which I always say it, but they say it wrong here. It's Dubuque. But we just say Dubuque. I think it ticks them off, which is even more fun. Okay. Because you got to tease your friends, right? Point 5, place line, Gainesville, Florida. Florida Gators center Olivier Rioux, the world's tallest teenager, is one of the team's most popular players heading into the NCAA tournament, and he has yet to take the court. The requests are endless, and the 19-year-old Ryu handles them all effortlessly without anything in return. But the Canadian, whose unusual height landed him a spot in the Guinness World Record, is hoping to start earning money from the use of his name, image, and likeness in the USA. Ryu has formally applied for an O1 visa that would allow him earning power through the NIL. He can't? Okay. So that's one story. Florida Gators, Darren. Maybe that'll be my team in March Madness. I'm not filling out a bracket because I might as well take a $20 bill and light it on fire. I'm sorry. I'm going to be that stick in the mud. Why? Why burn money? I was not raised that way. If I don't have a chance to win, I'm not playing. That's just me. That's a week of coffees for me. So, but have you filled out your bracket? Are you all excited about it?
Yeah, I've got my plan to fill it out tonight. So I'll be filling it out after the show this afternoon. You can fill it out and not pay any money. I mean, unless that doesn't knock your socks off. But whatever.
Like
I know the kid.
Beer.
Yeah. Okay. I know the kid from that's with the Gators. I met him at the Canada Games when I was there, and he was tall, and he was, we had on Team Saskatchewan, we had a young girl. She was a tennis player. She was the shortest person at the games, and he was the tallest, obviously. So we got a nice photo of them together. It was hard to get them both in the frame, but he walked around. He couldn't find pants long enough, so every pair of pants was up to halfway up his calves. Pair of capris. It was like he's walking on stilts. Very, very tall, but really nice kid. Good basketball player. Great basketball player, obviously, and with the Florida Gators. So there's a bit of a Canadian rooting interest for March Madness.
Okay, well, there you go. Cheer for Florida, everybody. By the way, I just looked up the Willow Bunch Giant, which nobody knows outside of the 306. Have you heard of the Willow Bunch Giant, Darren?
No.
You've never heard of the Willow Bunch Giant?
No.
That must be a southern Saskatchewan thing. Edward Beaupre was born in the southern Saskatchewan town of Willow Bunch on January 9th, 1881. He was the first of 20 children born to Gaspard Beaupre and Florestine Pichet, a Métis woman. When he started school at the age of 7, he was of average height, but by the age of 9, he was 6 foot. At the age of 12, he was 6'6". He went on to be 8 foot 3 inches. He went on to be 8 feet 3 inches. The Willow Bunch Giant. He's buried in the Willow Bunch Cemetery. Clearly, you've never been down there. They've got a 9-hole golf course in Willow Bunch, Saskatchewan. Talk to me about this guy's 7, whatever the what he is. He ain't no Willow Bunch Giant.
True story?
See what you know, Moose? Yeah, it's on Wikipedia. It's on the internet. It's got to be true. But no, we were raised with the lore of the Willow Bunch Giant. Oh, my God. Where we were from Milestone, Saskatchewan, that's not that far from Willow Bunch. So it just got me thinking, the world's tallest teenager currently, that the Willow Bunch Giant could eat an apple off his head. We'll be right back. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house. Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to World Championships. There's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hour one of the RP show is brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, Black Bag. From director Steven Soderbergh, Black Bag is a gripping spy drama about legendary intelligence agents George Woodhouse and his beloved wife, Catherine. When she is suspected of betraying the nation, George faces the ultimate test: loyalty to his marriage or his country. Starring Cate Blanchett. Catch Black Bag in Landmark Cinemas tonight. I won't be going to a movie tonight. Let's bring the Moose in. He won't be. Well, I don't think he will be. He's in the Queen City getting ready for the Rams fundraising dinner, which is Thursday night. Darren, would you allow me to read a very quick sports update? And then I think you'll have some thoughts on it for Heavy Jim.
Oh, yeah.
For Heavy Jim in Regina. Okay, well, we are Regina's favorite sports talk show. That's evident. We have the numbers to back it up. Heavy Jim sports update. The Minnesota Vikings have committed to moving forward with J.J. McCarthy as their starting quarterback this season after deciding not to offer Aaron Rodgers a contract, according to a source. Rodgers was released by the New York Giants a couple of weeks back. The departure of Sam Darnold left the Vikings ready to turn their offense over to McCarthy. He was the 10th pick in the 2024 draft, whose rookie year was spent rehabbing from a knee injury. Just one item, because we've covered all the other sports in the Heavy Gym sports update. Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. I was smiling as I read that because I was thinking of the sports talk I was listening to this morning where the hosts were just snapping on Aaron Rodgers because they're like, make a decision already, for the love of God. Adam Schefter reported at ESPN that Aaron Rodgers is in no hurry to announce where he's going to play in 2025. Like, it's clearly up to him. He must have had some offers. What do you think about all of that?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm seeing, hearing, reading is it's Pittsburgh for Aaron Rodgers or nothing, or not nothing, but sounds like Pittsburgh. So just waiting and waiting and waiting. And I don't know what the holdup is. But with the Vikings, I wrote about it a couple of weeks ago. I'm very passionate about this when it comes to players and fit. And I think it's a huge, huge mistake for the Minnesota Vikings to move off Sam Darnold. I don't know. And just because Sam Darnold goes to Seattle, and if he has a down year, Vikings fans will say, see, Darnold wasn't that good. No, he's just in a different fit. He was in a great fit with you. Keep a good thing going. If it works, stick with it. So what he does in Seattle is not it's not indicative of what he would have done coming back to Minnesota. Now, that being said, I love me some J.J. McCarthy. Michigan Wolverines fan, won us a national championship. I'm really excited for J.J. McCarthy. I was hoping he would have had a couple of years to watch and learn. Now it's going to be feast or famine. He's right in the fire, and it could set him up for failure. or he could thrive under this. I'm excited to watch him play, and I'm hoping that he has a great year.
Well, I mean, let's hear from the Vikings fans out there. We have many that watch this show. I mean, this is the way I look at it. You had a great year with Sam Darnold on a whim. You didn't know it was going to happen. You signed him for $10 million. He'd done nothing in prior stops. So you had a great year. Finished the regular season, went into the playoffs as the 5th seed. We're a win away from being the number 1 seed, as we all know. But I think it's not like I don't think they wanted to keep Sam Darnold, but the price tag went through the roof. They might have potentially not been able to pay $33 million a year for the next 3 years to Sam Darnold, especially if J.J. McCarthy proves in training camp that he's all that. Right? What were you going to pay Sam Darnold? He had the best payday coming from the Seahawks. 3 years, $100 million. If J.J. McCarthy outplays him in training camp, which is a very good opportunity for that to happen, you're causing your own quarterback controversy. Does that hold any water to you?
It does, because, I mean, yeah, and for Sam Darnold, I would say, too, hey, you're in a good situation. Do whatever you can to stay there. But at the same time, I can't expect Sam Darnold to sign a contract for $10, $15, even $20 million when there's $33 million on the table. At the end of the day, you play well, you need to get paid. You can only play the game for so long. So I don't really blame anybody here. I just know that it's not going to be just plug and play somebody else. It's not that easy. Pro sports is not an easy thing. You had something good.
It did not take long for the people to perk up on that. Scott in Vancouver writes in, he says, Daniel Jones will be the backup for JJ. And he goes on to say, Darnold and Kupp for the Seahawks. Ha-ha. Don't ha-ha anything. They got a quarterback in there now and Cooper Kupp, who's going to have a chip on his shoulder. You watch out for the Seahawks. Troy in Toronto writes in, he says, good day from the seat of my car. What a glorious day here in Toronto. Thank you, Troy. Is the doorbell ringing there, Moose? What's going on? Your phone
Give me a
going on?
minute.
Okay. Well, I'll read these comments. Colt in San Diego. He says, I'm happy my Vikings are not going after Aaron Rodgers. We're not doing the Brett Favre effect. Holy smokes, have we got a ton of comments. Oh, wow, I didn't know it would be this popular. Yeah, on March Madness, I got to be honest, this isn't going to be the March Madness show. What's up? You're back? Okay. Colt says, also, he's from San Diego. He says, wow, my San Diego State Aztecs men's got blown out by North Carolina last night in March Madness first 4. Yeah, but we're not going to talk March Madness here. I got my buddy, Mydale Mike, the original landman. He got back in the 306. He's just a few blocks from where you are, Darren. He's like, I'm back in Saskatchewan. I'm watching television, wondering why I'm getting March Madness pumped down my throat. He's like, curling I get, hockey for sure, but what the hell? It's all over the TVs, March Madness. I'm like, you're being brainwashed, Mike. TSN's trying to tell you it is the thing, and it's not the thing. Well, if you want it to be, sure, but it's not here, not on this show. And Darren BW from Edmonton writes in, he says, Moose, when is the RP store going to open to go with the bobblehead?
Great question. Yeah, great question. I don't have an answer for you today, but we'll have to have a little three-way convo with Joe and get that question answered.
Okay, I'll say it for Darren. It's not his department anymore. There you go, Moose. You're welcome. I handled it. It's not Moose's department anymore. He's got other things. Yeah, it's Joe 747's department. Okay, you go take care of what you gotta. I'll see you back here in hour 2.
See you in a bit.
Former Leafs captain Rick Vaive coming up in hour 2 as well. So if you've got questions for him, maybe the greatest hair in NHL history, or at least Canadian NHL history. We'll be right back with mini overtime right after this. A lot of people want to talk about the Expos. We're live on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Oh, I'll tell you what, it's a rush. It's a rush. Mini overtime is what we call it. It's still brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. How many times do I need to tell you that you're so lucky to have Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary? Because all my Florida hockey friends are like, can we get one of those? What do you think, Randy? Think you should open up shop down here? But until then, check them out at 28th Street Northeast in Calgary. Achieve your hockey goals where skill and fun collide. Overtime Hockey Lanes. We've had a lot of topics on the table. Our NHL picks tonight will be brief next hour because there are only two games. I got to get into the Avalanche and the Leafs from Toronto with Moose next hour. Rick Vaive's going to be with us too. That's going to be great for the old-time Leaf fans. Seattle at Minnesota tonight as well. I have not got the link yet. I just haven't given it to Clark. It's on me to order these RP Show bobbleheads that you can just order on your own. The one thing is Chad Glasser, who commissioned this original, he goes, all I ask is that those colors stay the same and nobody else gets them because that needs to be one in a kind. And the Florida clothing brand, Whole Life, is so excited about this. Thank you, Chad. You're making people's day all over the place. Mark Gundry, the CEO and founder, said, I never thought I'd see my shirt on a bobblehead. So everybody's excited. Ooh. Okay, Scott in Vancouver writes, and he says, Rick Vaive was great in the Harold Ballard story documentary. Loved his honesty. I didn't see that. Clark, as a Leafs fan, have you seen the Harold Ballard documentary? I feel like I'm not going to bring that up to Rick Vaive when he's on, because I got a lot of former Leaf player friends who don't want to talk about that time. I'm not going to name them. You probably know who they are if you think about it. I don't want to put Rick Vaive on the spot. I just want to watch the documentary. The reason the poll question is this, you're probably wondering why. Will Major League Baseball ever return to Montreal? Was because I was with Curtis Pride last night, a former Expo. We did 2 stints there. Curtis Pride. He is now a coach with the Wellington Wolverines high school team here. His kid plays on the team. Scott Abreu's kid plays on the team. John Abreu. Alexis Rojas. There's some big names on a high school team. Anyways, Curtis Pride and I were talking about this. He's MLB's first ever deaf player. And he said to me last night, he goes, I hope baseball will return to Montreal. We had such a great time there. And here's the votes for EMJ marketing. 63% of you saying no, they're never going back. 24% of you are like me, voting never say never. And 13% saying, yes, MLB will go back to Montreal, but they're not going to play in that same stadium. So you got to build a park. Probably close to $1 billion for that. There's just, I think, too many roadblocks. But it will always be used as a divergent, a decoy for the teams that want to leave, specifically Tampa Bay. BW in Edmonton says, Moose, when is the RP show going to reopen? He asked it twice. What I know is it's not neither of our department. That's all I know. I know that drives people nuts, but it's not. You love Rick Vaive's honesty? Here's mine. It's not our department. Text line for Progressive Insurance, 902-518-3033. That's the one thing from my last job. I answered questions and took the arrows for people that it was not my responsibility. All I'm saying is it's not my department. Not taking them anymore. Darcy in Grand Prairie writes in, he says, I hope if the Expos come back that they go to the National League East as opposed to the AL East. They were always in the NL East. What am I missing? Jim from Belgoni writes in, he says, wow, that bobblehead is crazy detailed. You guys now have a mini-me of yourselves. Congrats on 1,500 soon.
How about that?
Ray in Scarborough, Ontario. The Expos logo is the best ever. Gary in Winnipeg, the old fart, writes, and he says, in 97, I traveled to Montreal for the first time. I went to Olympic Stadium and watched Atlanta Braves play the Expos. Chipper Jones hit a grand slam in the game. I would like to see a Blue Jays home game. It's on my bucket list. It's really awesome, Gary. Rogers Center rocks. Hour 2 coming up involving Rick Vaive after this brief pause.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. the Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the City of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
And I'm like, you just got a life lesson, boys. There's always going to be somebody mean or somebody nasty or somebody big. There's always going to be. So you might as well learn it now. Thanks for picking on me and keeping me humble. I appreciate it, man. Enjoy the ball this weekend.
You look like you worked at Burger King in 1986 wearing that thing.
At least I had a job in 1986.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
That's our good friend Mo Egger. Oh, yeah, from ESPN Cincinnati. He really thinks he's something. I can tell you who is. Darren Moose DuPont. Let's bring in the Moose. We're excited for hour 2. He's really excited because he's back in the motherland, the 306 Saskatchewan. Do we have Moose or is he not ready? Because he got a call near the end of hour 1. There he is. Hey, Moose. Everything okay? Everything all right?
Everything's great. It was actually an alarm I had set. Apparently, do not disturb cancels everything except your alarms. So that's good to know.
Okay. Mo Egger was trash talking me about my choice of clothing from the Whole Life brand here in Florida. And that, whatever, I don't care what Mo Egger thinks or anybody for that matter, but it was featured in this bobblehead. I'm going to open the show, not spending as much time in hour 2 as we did in hour 1. But I want to thank Chad Glasser for commissioning this one-of-a-kind bobblehead. Commemorating our 1500th episode. We're in season 6 here on Game Plus Television. We love them. I think they like us. It's the number one rated talk show on the channel. And this is going to sit right here. This is only episode number 1457. But I want to tell you something. I don't want to sit here and pontificate, but I'm going to because I've been through so much crap in my life. Here's something that I've learned. And I brushed on it last hour. Why wait? Literally, why wait? This thing came in the mail last night when I got home from the ball game that I was announcing. I opened it and, I'm going to bust that out on the show because it reminds me of those owners I told you of the hockey team that I worked for, Consortium, and, it was the Regina Pats. And Anthony Marquardt, the owner, when they bought the team, he goes, I envision league championships and going to the league final and filling this rink. And I'm like, well, Anthony, we don't talk like that in hockey. Oh, why not? And I'm thinking, and then, and then by 2018, they're hosting the Memorial Cup. 2017, they're in the league final. I'm like, wait. He was right. He spoke it into existence. So why not say it? We'll get to 1,500, and it's going to be when we're in the summer, and I'm back in Saskatchewan doing this show. But why wait? Put it out there. Can't wait for 50. But I think you think way more like that than I do. But that's how owners think, and maybe I need to think more that way.
Yeah, why put off to tomorrow what could be done today? I think is the idea and the saying, and it's kind of true. If you can take care of it, take care of it. Even though you might not need to do it, because you never know what's going to happen, and other things are going to come up. And get to work.
Oh yeah,
start building.
Don't wait. I mean, that's the one thing. I'm 52, and what I've realized is a lot of people become more and more narrow and closed-minded as they get older. I'm getting more and more open-minded, and it's really awesome. So that's just something. That's kind of what I'm trying to get. Land the plane. Okay. Do you guys want to hit the Quick Six show horn, and we'll fire up what we've been talking about for those that joined us late? Quick Six show horn, if you don't mind. Thank you. So the big story, it's a curveball for everybody. It's baseball. The Dodgers swept the Mets in 2 games. The second game was played this morning in Japan. Well, they were both played in Japan, but early morning hours. Dodgers coming home 2-0. Mets coming home 0-2. Why are we opening with baseball? Because I'm now announcing baseball here in South Florida, and I love it. And I was with Curtis Pride last night, a former Expo who did 2 stints there, I think 3 years in all. And he was telling me that he hopes that the Montreal will get Major League Baseball in a return. I don't think it's going to happen, and that's our poll question for EMJ Marketing. Will MLB ever return to Montreal? Like close to 70% of you saying no. Darren and I both voted never say never. NHL meetings going on. They just wrapped up, actually, here in South Florida. Manalapan, a place that I don't have enough money to drive around there, let alone go to the meetings. But Gary Bettman said that the new CBA, they're going to start to work on that next month. Business is booming. The salary cap's going up. There will be no rule changes, no expansion of the playoffs. So there's that. March Madness, we talked a little bit about. I'm not paying any money for a bracket because I don't prefer to burn money. Okay. And so to the text line, 902-518-3033. We were talking about the French kid that plays, well, he's, I'm assuming from Quebec, playing for the Florida Gators. I read it earlier. Off the top of your head, do you remember his name, Darren? This is how much I'm not into March Madness. I apologize, but I'm just being real here. Olivier Rioux. Olivier Rioux. He's the world's tallest teenager at 19, but it doesn't say how tall he is. And I said, he's got nothing on the Willow Bunch Giant from where I'm from.
How about that?
8'3", 8'3", the Willow Bunch Giant. Dave in Winnipeg has looked him up. He said, Rod, the Willow Bunch Giant was a pro wrestler and strongman. He could bend iron bars and lift horses on his shoulders. Wow. No, I know, bro. You think I don't know this? And he's buried in the Willow Bunch Cemetery. 8'3". Imagine the size of the damn box they put him in. And he was doing all these things around the turn of the 1900. Rennie in the Game Plus control room. Oh, big Expos fan, as it turns out. Rennie Gagnon. With a name like that, I would expect that he would be. He says Charles Bronfman has a hold for a stadium in Peel Basin for another 3 years, I believe. He has the money, just not a team to buy. And he says MLB will expand within the next 3 to 4 years. Curtis Pride's wife said to me last night when she found out about this show, she's like, what are you going to be talking about tomorrow? And I said, the MLB going back to Montreal. And she was like, ooh. What's the next pro team going to Montreal? I want to say NBA. I want to say NBA because I believe it. What do you think it'll be?
Yeah, probably. That would make sense. I just don't know that it's going to be baseball, especially when they're in the world of TV market size and all the rest, and you need multi-millions of audience size. You don't want to, expand into a new market. And as an owner, we're going to bring this expansion team to our market and instantly be one of the smaller markets in the whole league. That sets you up to be, in a tough spot, especially when you're competing against these massive markets and potential. So it's tough. Probably NBA for the reason you said, facility. The arena's there. Probably a little easier to do that than to get a new baseball park.
I don't know. People just don't want to hear what they don't want to hear. Like Elliot Friedman was speaking this morning on NHL radio about the meetings going on, the general managers' meetings going on here in Florida. And he goes, well, they said they're going to discuss the lack of taxes in Florida, Texas, Nevada, Washington, the states that don't have them. Listen, do we actually pay attention to these reports? Because Elliot is just telling you exactly what's going on. I respect the hell of Saint. This is not guff or fake news. If Elliot says they're talking about it, they're talking about it. But the problem is, if they're just going to talk about it, here's what I'm relating it to, the parallel. They said they would talk about the loophole of long-term injured reserve. They've been saying that for 3 years since Tampa leveraged it into a Stanley Cup. And then Vegas did it, and it looks like now Florida's doing it. Nothing changed. So to say they're going to talk about the lack of state income tax in these states, I would be far more moved if they said, you can expect in a month that salaries will be dictated in accordance to the tax structure in these states. If they're just going to talk about it, nothing will ever happen. I'm sorry. I don't need to ask your opinion on that. I know this. I've seen it. Right? They're not going to talk. But my point, and the reason I bring that up is no pro league, no major pro league is rushing to set up shop in Quebec because of the taxes. We all love it. We love the coffee. Some of us have enjoyed the nightlife back in the day. Great place to go visit. But to open up shop and do business, a terrible place. A terrible place. So, yeah, probably no league is going there. Mike in Winnipeg, Mike Wynn, says, keep up the great work, boys. The show is awesome. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you for tuning in every day. I really do at your shop, Ice Time Sports in Winnipeg. This is kind of wild. BW in Edmonton says the Savannah Bananas baseball team sold out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers football stadium over the weekend. 75,000 plus people. I know, bro. They sold out Lone Depot Park the weekend before, the home of the Miami Marlins. The guys were talking about that. I don't know what they do other than the players, like, between innings, stop and dance on the bases and stuff. I don't really know what they're doing, but they're doing something, and they're selling. It was Aaron, one of the baseball dads, said to me, they're the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. That is what it's become. Has that reached your inbox at all, Darren? Is it on your radar? My guess is that it's not.
Yeah, it's on my radar for sure, and it is. It's the Harlem Globetrotters. Okay. They play banana ball. And for a certain handful of games throughout the year, they do these things. And it's not between innings. They're doing it during the game. Pitchers doing a cartwheel and then throwing the ball coming right out of the cartwheel. And there's rules, a whole list of banana ball rules that are slightly different that create this entertaining baseball. But they also play collegiate baseball. And they're all great players. And when they play collegiately, it's a regular game. But every so often throughout the year, they play banana ball. Wild.
It's 1:11 Eastern. I'm just putting it out there. It's 11:11 Mountain, where Moose is right now in Saskatchewan. I know it's hard, but visualize a positive outcome to your current problems. What do you got to lose? Vintage Sasko writes in and says, hi, Pastor Pedersen. All this baseball talk, what is your favorite ballpark food? The bacon cheese dog? Actually, I pounded 2 hot dogs before the game last night here and thoroughly enjoyed it. But I will tell you, one of the greatest hamburgers I've ever had in my life, ballpark or otherwise, was at the Valley Girls concession for the Regina Red Sox. They called it the Mexi Burger. And just think of this for a second. Burger, cheese, salsa, jalapenos. As my mom would say, good night, nurse. The Mexi Burger at Red Sox games. But you very rarely, I get a hot dog just about everywhere I go, as Darren knows, and anybody that travels with me. But you, what's your favorite ballpark food?
Yeah, 2 hot dogs and a beer. That's what you get at the ballpark. In the 8th inning, you get a popcorn.
902-518-3033. Progressive Insurance text line. Say, switch to Progressive and you could save a bunch. Ooh. Tony in Cochrane, Alberta writes in, he says, not sure if you get earthquakes in Florida, Rod, but you have enough bobbleheads now for an early warning detection system. It just kind of happened. I bought the Bedard one in Chicago. Bill in Regina sent me Ron and Don. Chad in Lethbridge sent me Rod and Darren, Rod and Moose. This one commemorating 1,500 episodes, so it's pretty cool. Very cool. Leafs and Avalanche tonight. Doesn't matter that there's only 2 games. That would be the marquee game no matter what. When we talk about measuring sticks, the Jets and the Canucks playing last night and Vancouver winning in these certain games, this is one of those. What are your thoughts on the Avalanche and the Leafs tonight?
Yeah, it's going to be a big one. And last time they played, it was a really, really good hockey game. But I'm a little clouded because the Leafs played really well against Calgary. But Colorado, like, they had a makeover of their whole team in season and then at the deadline. I like the Avs a lot, and I actually think they're going to win tonight.
Hey, you're picking Colorado to win. Is this like reverse psychology? You're thinking if you pick them to win, you'll jinx it and the Leafs will win? Is that what you're thinking?
No, I think they're all that. I really do.
Okay. Well, I'll take the Leafs for that reason. Seattle at Minnesota. Can I go first? Wild for me.
Okay. And to keep it interesting, I'll take Seattle.
Okay, there's our picks. Rick Vaive coming in next. And before I let you go, you're going to be on the air tomorrow with us, but you flew to this, well, not to the CFL Combine, but with the CFL people yesterday. Do you want to just tell the quick funny stories on that? Because they're good. Before we let you go?
Sure, yeah. Walking in, I see all the CFL jackets, and then I saw Danny Machocha, and I messaged you.
To the airport.
And then,
to the airport.
Yeah.
To Pedersen.
In the airport.
Yeah.
Yes. Pedersen Airport in Toronto. So I get on the plane, and as I'm walking on, I walk right past Ryan Dinwiddie. First class. He's in first class. Didn't see me, walked on, and sure enough, my seat back in economy, right in front of Danny Machocha. So he's back there in economy, and I wrote about it in the column. I said, well, when you win the Grey Cup, you can sit wherever you want. And so Danny Machocha has kind of put his first-class ticket in the hands of Davis Alexander to try and get back to the front of the plane. But said hi to Danny. He's always pleasant. And then actually Ryan Dinwiddie came up and had a really good chat in the airport in Regina at baggage claim. He approached me, and he said, it's like, hey, I saw you around Toronto a few weeks ago. I was going to come over and say hi, but I just didn't want to bother you. And we had a great catch-up, wanted to know where I was staying and where my sister lived, and he told me where he was living when he was here. And a really nice guy, Ryan Dinwiddie, really pleasant. They're all excited to be in town for the Combine. There was some players on the flight, CFL executives, and it had a vibe as you walked off the plane, and there was signage in the airport welcoming everybody for the CFL Combine. So pretty cool.
Good to hear, man. Well, go enjoy yourself and shovel some snow.
I got to do that this afternoon. Later.
Leafs great, and former Toronto captain Rick Vaive joins us next. Get your questions in if you would oblige. 902-518-3033 on the Progressive Insurance text line. We're live on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are.
Sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hour 2 is brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information at emjmarketing.com. Rick Vaive played 876 NHL games, amassed 788 points, 441 goals. Captain of the Leafs joins us on the RP show today. His return. I think I can add best-selling author to that, Rick. Am I right? You had a book out the last time we chatted. How'd that go?
That went pretty good, actually. I mean, I can't complain about it. It was well written. Scotty Morrison did the writing, and it was unbelievable to read it myself, actually, and look it over and see everything. It was quite good.
Well, proud of you for doing that. There's no easy way to write a book, and I'm sure you learned a lot about yourself too, even though it was an autobiography. Rick, I'm going to start here. With the Leafs home to the Avalanche tonight, there's one thing that I love about Toronto. There's just that vibe in Toronto when the Leafs are home tonight. I'm sure you feel it right now. What are your thoughts on the game tonight?
Well, I'm going to the game. My wife and I are going down, and we have an alumni box right on the 200 level, so it's a good view. And I'm not really sure what's going to happen. The Avalanche bulked up before the deadline and at the deadline, so they're a pretty good hockey team. But the Leafs, I mean, they destroyed Calgary, although it didn't look like Calgary was really that interested in the game. It was almost like 10 minutes into it, it was over. So it was kind of an easy one for the Leafs, but should be a good game tonight, though.
I saw the quote from Berube before that game that the Leafs were pissed off with their slump and the way that they've been playing. You've seen this literal front row seat for decades, Rick. Is this year's team different than the rest? And Berube would make it different than the rest. What makes people think that it will be different?
Well, I think there's no question that it's a different team. I think they're obviously the coach makes a big difference and the way they play. And they play a little bit better defensively than they have in the past because of Berube coming in. Their goaltending's been awesome this year. I mean, it's just been incredible. And I think that's probably what's going to carry them through. And the problem is, if they don't finish first in their division, they're playing Florida or Tampa in the first round. And so far over the years, that hasn't gone.
No, we've seen how that's worked out. You know, before you came on, Rick, I asked the viewers if they had any questions for you. That's, to me, always the funnest part. So Kirk is watching in Toronto on Game Plus television, and he says, Rick, Mr. Vaive, could you please tell us what it was like playing in old Chicago Stadium for the Blackhawks and those stairs down to the dressing room? What was that like, Rick?
Well, it was good. I mean, I loved Chicago Stadium with the big organ and everything, and the fans, like before when the national anthem played. I mean, you could barely hear the anthem at the end of it because the fans were so loud, especially in the playoffs. But I was only there a year and a half, and but playing there as an opponent was probably just as good as playing there as a local team.
Well, I was there in January for 2 games for the first time, and I heard it, man. That anthem singer was singing from his toes, and the place was going crazy, and it was the worst team in the NHL. Chicago, they didn't care. They were playing Vegas that night, and that place rocked. Like, what a great town. And it's funny you say you're going to the alumni suite tonight. I was in the alumni suite with Chelios, Kyle Calder, and Grant Mulvey. And I found that these guys, they didn't really want to say necessarily what they thought about the Hawks because they're in the alumni suite. When you go to the alumni suite, Rick, do you need to you need to be careful what you say about the home team?
Well, you don't say anything about the home team. I mean, that's kind of taboo in our alumni boxes. You're not going to say anything bad about the home team, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I appreciate the analysis that you've given on the Leafs as it is, because knowing the pinch that alumni are in when it comes to going to the games. BW in Edmonton writes in and he says, Mr. Vaive, 2 questions. What's your favorite variation of the Leafs jersey? And does Austin Matthews have enough heart to be the captain of the Leafs? I remember this from our last chat. You are an Austin Matthews fan, as I recall. So how would you answer those?
I would say he's well equipped to be the captain. There's no question. I mean, he does it on the ice. I know he stood up and spoke before the game last night, or Monday night rather, about the team not performing to their potential. And I think he had a few words to his teammates. And then they went out and destroyed. So well equipped to be the captain. And obviously, probably, if not the best, one of the best scorers maybe in the world.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. Clark, how are we with Rick getting choppy there with his video? You're good now? You're good? Okay, you were getting choppy there, Rick, but I think Clark says you're good now. Yeah, you are. I can see it. And that Leafs jersey, I would assume it's the one that that you played in. Is that your favorite Leaf jersey? It's mine.
Well, I kind of I like the new ones better than the ones we wore. We had the blue all the way down the sleeve on the white jerseys and vice versa. I think the ones now are a little bit cooler than ours. I think there was just a little bit too much all the way down the arm. And it was kind of, I don't know. I personally, I like the new one, the ones they wear today over the ones that we wore back in the 80s.
Good. Well, I'm glad I asked. It was a different time, Rick. And well, hey, this team does a lot more winning in these, I guess, than what it was in the 80s. Where is this here? BW. Oh, Scott in Vancouver writes, and he says, do you spend any time in PEI these days, Rick? Do you have a tie to the island, Rick?
Well, yeah, I do. I moved there when I was, what was I, 10 years old, 10 and a half. And I met my wife there, and we've been, well, it'll be 45 years married this June. Yeah, which, I mean, it's been a long road and a lot of moves. I mean, when you think about being born in Ottawa, moving to Amherst, Nova Scotia, moving to Charlottetown, PEI, going to play junior in Sherbrooke, Quebec, going to Birmingham, Alabama in the WHA, Vancouver, Toronto, Chicago, Buffalo, St. John, or Charleston, South Carolina, St. John, New Brunswick, Oakville, and now Hull. So that's a lot of moving. And I mean, especially when you got traded back then. Like I remember getting traded from Chicago to Buffalo the day after Christmas. My in-laws were in town from Prince Edward Island for the holidays. My wife was pregnant. We had a 2-year-old. And I had a 1 o'clock flight. I was supposed to play that night in Buffalo, but didn't make it because of a snowstorm. And I didn't see my family until February 4th. And that was very, very difficult.
Oh, no doubt. This is what I wanted to talk to you about. These types of stories. Like I'm living in Florida. I'm not sure whether you knew or not. The hockey capital, Rick. But Alabama, South Carolina, you got to tell me what it was like living in those towns and playing pro hockey in Alabama and South Carolina in the 70s.
Well, Birmingham was a little different. I mean, we did have we averaged about 11,000 a game, which, was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't awesome, but it wasn't terrible. It was different. There's no question about that. When I was in Charleston, I was coaching in the ECHL, and I loved Charleston. I fell in love with that city. It was just incredible, and I was there 5 years. I had a year left in my contract, and I wanted to sign a new contract. The owner wouldn't pay me, so I ended up going to the American League in St. John, New Brunswick.
Yeah, where you had a history with Atlantic Canada. Well, that's cool. I'm just looking up your hockey DB here. 5 seasons with the South Carolina Stingrays, and then St. John, and then Mississauga and the O. And then who was the Dundas Real McCoys?
That's a senior team in not far from Hamilton. And hell, I was 41 when I went there to play. And I didn't realize until I started playing that I was playing against guys in their 20s, early 30s. And I'm like, oh my God, this is probably not where I should be right now. But we hosted the Allen Cup here, and we didn't win it, but we hosted it, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, hey, you're a winner. And as I look at this, South Carolina Stingrays, you won the Coast in 1997. So you're a hell of a coach as well as a tremendous hockey player. And you talk about a brush with the owners. You've had a few. Guess what? So have I. Do you ever think it's us, Rick? Do you ever think it's us? Not the owners?
No. No, definitely the owners. Especially Harold Ballard.
Well, I was telling the viewers earlier before you came on that I got some really good friends that I don't want to name them, but played with you in Toronto, and they won't. I don't want to end this on a bad note, but what I will say is they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it, and I don't mean in interviews. I mean having coffee, shooting the breeze. They don't want to talk about that time. So that probably didn't surprise you.
No, not really. I mean, I don't mind talking about it. I mean, Harold Ballard was not a mean guy or a terrible guy to us. He was just cheap. And he wouldn't, like, I remember, I'll tell you a good story. It was about halfway through the season, and it was the year that we had 4 Czechoslovakians come over to play with us. So we used to charter all the time on these little prop planes. And about halfway through the season, King Clancy would always travel with us, and he would sit a couple of rows in front of Harold. So we had our little dinner, which was a little tiny thing of lasagna. And then the flight attendant would come by with a wicker basket full of chocolate bars. So she gets to King, and he points back, and he goes, the other old guy behind me can't have any chocolate bars because he's a diabetic. So she comes to Harold, he puts his hand in and grabs about 4 chocolate bars. She slapped his hand, said, you can't have any, sir, you're a diabetic. He canceled the charters for the rest of the year.
Because he can.
You know, who does that?
Yeah. Harold Ballard.
Yeah. And then the funniest part about that whole episode was it helped us because we got to, like, chartering, you're going in, you're coming home. You don't get to hang out with the guys on the team. Now we're flying commercial, we're staying overnight, we're going out with these Czechoslovakian guys, we're getting to know one another, we're getting to trust one another. We were the 5th best team in the league in the second half of the season because of that. And I don't think Harold ever realized that.
Yeah, sometimes people win, or teams win in spite of the owner, but I don't think he would care. I mean, one of those guys is Lanny, and he's like, I don't want to talk about it. And he goes, I had to get we had to take the contract to jail to get Harold to sign it. He was in jail. He's like, right, that's dysfunctional. And I'm like, yes, it is. Rick, do you do any banquets anymore? Or is that a thing out there in Ontario? Because you know it's huge in Western Canada, the sports banquets. Do you do much of that?
No, not recently. I mean, not in the last 5 to 10 years. I do a lot of signings, and I'm still playing about 60, 65 hockey games a year with our alumni, with the NHL alumni, Easter Seals tournaments, Hockey Helps the Homeless. In fact, I was in Saskatoon for Hockey Helps the Homeless last year, and it was fantastic. Wow. Really loved it. And we went to a Blaze game when Bedard and the Pats were in town, and that was a lot of fun to go watch Bedard play, and with a prelude to what going to the National Hockey League and being the first overall pick.
Oh, yeah. Big Bedard fan here. Well, Rick, I can tell you're playing. You look great. Thanks for the time. It's always a pleasure, man. You're such a great ambassador for the Leafs. That's why they have you doing it in the NHL. And take care, enjoy the playoffs, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Yeah. All right. I love it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Rick. Enjoy the game tonight. Toronto Maple Leafs, great. Rick Vaive. Oh, yeah. Scott writes in, and from Vancouver. He says, I was crushed when the Leafs traded him to Chicago. Tony from Cochrane says, effing Ballard. BW in Edmonton says, nicely worded, Rod. What was? I don't even remember. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover in a moment. We're live on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
We got some good stuff here, I'm going to tell you that. Sports fans, join the Rod Squad newsletter today. Stay ahead of the game with exclusive insights, updates, contests, and exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up for free today at rodpedersen.com. I'll get to the sports update in a moment, but our stories are just so much darn more entertaining. That's the one thing people forget. Every other show sitting there talking about so-and-so's 5-on-5 or whatever. Who's quarterback in the power play? This, that with Rick Vaive is what I'm interested in. Okay, BW in Edmonton. You're such a great guy, Brian, from Edmonton, BW. I hope we get a chance to meet one day, which we will. I said, what was well worded? And he goes, your talents as an interviewer to ask about Harold Ballard. Well done. No, but that was an accident. I didn't plan that. Somebody had written in and said they really enjoyed Rick's comments about Harold Ballard in that documentary. And I'm like, well, I don't want to put the guy on the spot. I don't want to make him uncomfortable because everybody that I know doesn't want to talk about Harold Ballard. But Rick, didn't mind. It just come out of my mouth. But thank you for the nice words. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes in. He says, hey, Rod, I got thinking this morning that the RP show has been on the air for almost 6 years. It's went by so fast. It feels like yesterday. Thanks for making my days more fun and entertaining. Nah, but here's the thing. The big thank yous to you, Wayne, for tuning in every day. Because without all of you, there wouldn't be us. But again, thank you for the kind words. And to this, I'll be perfectly honest with you. Chad from Lethbridge. I came home last night from the ball game that I was announcing here in Wellington, Florida, and this was on my doorstep. And thank God it wasn't stolen, because in it was this bobblehead commemorating 1,500 episodes. And yeah, our 1,500th episode. It came from Chad in Lethbridge, and I was like, I could have waited till the 1,500th episode. Today is 1,457, but why wait? Don't wait. Eat the cake. Take the drive. Take the trip. Kiss the girl. Don't wait. So, yeah, it's great, and I appreciate Game Plus for having us on their airwaves. So not something that I take lightly, that's for sure. They know that. Colt in San Diego, just like literally should be the PR person for March Madness. Colt in San Diego writes it, and he says, tonight the women's tournament, March Madness, kicks off with the first four. Thanks. If you put a gun to my head, I couldn't tell you who's playing, but they got you telling the world, so that's good. Paul in Humboldt says, I love it. Harold Ballard wasn't mean. He was just cheap. And King Clancy loved tormenting him. Well, here's the thing about those sports banquets, which, dag nabbit, we say, I believe everything happens for a reason. But sometimes not only does it take a long time to figure out what that reason is, you may never find out what the reason is. And you need to stop asking why. Those sports banquets, which was very lucrative for people like myself and Rick Vaive, COVID largely killed them. Largely killed them. And it has been tough, given that was, when I left my last job, I'm like, that's what I was going to do. Events. 902-518-3033, the Progressive Insurance text line. Switch to Progressive and you could save a bunch. But it is what it is. And the reason I bring that up is Wendell Clark was a very big fan of Harold Ballard. Now, there's a lot of guys that don't like Harold Ballard, but Wendell Clark loves Harold Ballard. Tiger Williams loves Harold Ballard. Tiger will tell you, Harold Ballard made me a wealthy man. That's just Tiger. If you know him, that won't surprise you. And I did a story, a banquet in Etonia, Saskatchewan with Wendell Clark. And it was so great. Wendell played midget hockey with my brother at Notre Dame. I don't know if Wendell knows that or not. Doesn't matter. But he was just the two of us. And I did a rider presentation, which was fun. And then Wendell, we talked about the Leafs. And he talked about being a rookie, 18-year-old, when he was drafted. Number 1 overall, 1985 NHL draft. And he said the first year was just fun. And he said we were like 3 quarters through the year before we realized, oh, we're supposed to win? Yeah, that's the idea, Wendell. We just honest farm kid from Kelvington, Saskatchewan. And I think that's the interesting thing that I just love it so much. I'll tear up a little bit, but Wendell talked about being from Saskatchewan, and he goes, we grew up playing hockey in the winter, baseball in the summer, farming with our dad. And that's what we all did. And he talked about that, but then life took him to Toronto, and he never came back. And we all grew up the same. And that was fun for me for a half century, but I wanted to see what else was out there. And down here, it's pretty damn cool where you get up every day and you talk to somebody from another country or somebody from another state, or maybe you're from Canada, and what do we have in common? And that's cool too. But it was just really cool for Wendell to say, we grew up playing baseball in the summer, hockey in the winter, and farming with our dad. And that's the way it's going to end. And for most, it does. But I'm like, I'm going to rewrite the ending. We haven't got to the sports update. We will do that when we come back in overtime. One more segment to get your comments to us, 902-518-3033, and the YouTube chat. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are from.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. 7.5 minutes, the producer Clark Monroe tells me, for this overtime segment brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes, OT Hockey Lanes in Calgary, where skill and fun collide. Big hockey fans there, obviously. Achieve your hockey goals at OT Hockey Lanes, 28th Street Northeast. Just a quick snapshot from the old Crossroads Flea Market. Before I get, I'll get to the sports update. Problem is I get into you guys' comments and then I get lost. I'm like that teacher that we always knew. If we could get him talking, he'll never get back on point with our lesson for the day. And now I've become that teacher. 902-518-3033. Mandy from Edmonton writes in, and she says, part of my family is from around Calvington, eventually landing in Calvington. Was always cool going there, knowing that's where Wendell Clark is from. My late grandfather rode in the Calvington Parade for maybe 27 years. Have to fact check that. Where would you fact check that? Please let me know and get back to me, Mandy. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta, regarding Rick Vaive, who was with us earlier. Oh, man, what a great dude. He's my kind of guy. Tony from Cochrane says, it was actually when the Vaive trade with Chicago happened that I followed Rick Vaive, dumped the Ballard Leafs, and became a Blackhawks fan. Craig Campbell has checked in from the Hockey Hall of Fame, and he says, if this is overtime, will there be a shootout if still tied? TBD, Craig, time will run out. But Rick Vaive was with us earlier, and I know he's not in the Hockey Hall of Fame, is he, Craig? But maybe he should be. 441 goals. What a great chat we had with him. And as usual, I feel like I know him, but I've never actually met him in person. Rick Vaive just let it rip. And what was the quote? Harold Ballard wasn't mean. He was just cheap. We might have to turn that into a meme. By the way, I don't have this in my sports update. I'm going from memory. But the 3 days of NHL general manager meetings wrapped up here in Manalapan, Florida this morning. Gary Bettman met with the media about an hour ago, and he's maybe 2 hours ago, and he said a variety of things. There will be no All-Star game next year. There's the Olympics, obviously. He said the Four Nations face-off raised the bar for what we all want. Bravo, Gary. What else? CBA talks on the next CBA will begin in April. Salary cap is going up exponentially. He didn't say that, but NHL people here in Florida have told me that. Players are about to get even richer. Good for them. Elliot Friedman on NHL radio this morning saying that there will be no rule changes. There will be no expanded playoffs, more teams. I think that was largely it. That's what's coming out of Manalapan, Florida. Don't you just love daytime sports talk? Nobody else is doing what we're doing. Oh, and by the way, before I jump into the sports update, the poll question today, because I spent last night with Curtis Pride, former Expo, announcing games for his Wellington Wolverines. The poll question is, will the Major League Baseball ever return to Montreal? Because Curtis Pride did 2 stints with the Expos, MLB's first ever deaf player. He was MLB's ambassador for inclusion. What a story. Played 16 years in the majors. Deaf. And he said that he hopes the MLB will go back because he loved the city of Montreal so much, had such a great time there. Everybody that played for the Expos did, sounds like. Well, close to 70% of you saying no, MLB's never going back. Moose and I both voted for never say never. But I do think the NBA will go in there first. Your Heavy Gym Sports Update. Reigning National League MVP Shohei Ohtani hit a towering solo home run, and the LA Dodgers beat the Chicago Cubs 6-3 this morning to sweep the 2-game season-opening series in Japan. Japanese free agent signing Roki Sasaki threw 3 eventful innings in his big league debut. Meanwhile, the Blue Jays are off in preseason play today. A light night in the NHL sees just 2 games on the schedule. The Leafs, who have won 2 of their last 4, entertain the Colorado Avalanche, who have won 2 in a row, and 6 of their last 7. The Minnesota Wild host the Seattle Kraken in tonight's other matchup. Rachel Homan's Canada rink sits 3rd at the Women's World Curling Championship after splitting 2 games today. The defending champions lost 11-7 to host Korea in the opener before squeezing out an 8-6 win over Norway in 10 ends in the later draw. Canada at 6-2 is tied with Sweden for 3rd behind 7-1 Korea and 8-0 Switzerland. And food for thought. Placeline, Denver. Perhaps the surest sign that artificial intelligence really is taking over the world will come the day it wins your favorite March Madness bracket pool. The day could be coming soon. A successful CEO turned disruptor is running a $1 million March Madness bracket challenge that pits his AI programmers' picks against those belonging to one of the world's best-known sports gamblers. 4C Prediction CEO Alan Levy says he's willing to wager the $1 million because he's convinced the data crunching his AI programmers can do is better than what gambler Sean Perry can produce. Levi's A1 program picks Houston to win it all. Perry is going with Duke. Sports update is for Heavy Gym. Heavy Gym isn't just for lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. I might just use AI to fill out my bracket. I was saying, if I do fill out a bracket at all, I was saying to Moose earlier that I'm not paying $20, especially not you. Do you understand? $20 US is 30 Canadian. No.
How about that?
BW in Edmonton says, made it to Fort Saskatchewan. Have a great day, Rod. BW goes on to say, what's Wendell Clark's restaurant like? Can't park near it in Saskatoon. Bro, it's worth it. Park at the Travel Lodge across Idlewild and walk. It's worth it. They are the best fish and chips ever made. Consider this. Salt and vinegar chips, crushed, and then the fish rolled in it and deep fried. Oh, I've never had anything like it. Florida or north central Saskatchewan. Wendell Clark's. No, stop. Make a point of going to Wendell Clark's. They used to sponsor this show. COVID killed that too. And honestly, every time I'm in Saskatoon, I go. What more do you need? Yeah, it's a must stop. Wendell Clark's in Saskatoon. All the other sports bars there have closed. That one's still trucking. Thanks to Rick Vaive. Thanks, as we've pointed out to you. Thanks to Chad and Lethbridge for the beautiful bobblehead. And we'll see you tomorrow here on your favorite daytime sports talk show, The RP Show.
Are we brainless?
Yes.
Yes.